Hello, good morning, all. Am I audible? So, welcome to today's webinar, iNELs and Introduction to iNELs Design Manager. My name is Jeevak Matthew Varghese, and I am the technical support at Elco EP. Today's webinar will run for about 60 minutes with 45 minutes of presentation and 15 minutes for questions at the end. Please submit your questions using the chat feature as they come to your mind. But please know I'll be waiting to answer all the questions until the end of the webinar. Also, this webinar is being recorded, so if you need to leave early, you'll have this in your inbox later. So today's agenda, this webinar is about iNEL's Design Manager. The webinar is focused mainly to beginners to know about the basics of programming with the IDM. So in the previous webinar, we have taken about the product portfolio in wireless and bus. So now I think you are all aware about all our products in different segments like switching, dimming, input devices and everything. So from now, this webinar will be focusing mainly on about the programming with these devices and the application uh, and the programming in different applications with the different projects. Today's webinar will cover uh, the main portions, first run of program, and the description in the main screen, main menu settings, how to create a new project, and the device manager, and how to set device parameters, and how to do the firmware update in devices, and how to make sure these devices are working in a proper firmware. As I mentioned before, we are planning a series of webinars focusing on different type of programming in various application, and also in the future webinar, we will take the topic MQTT, how to configure MQTT integration in central units, and how to program iNELs units in Node-RED, and also how to do third-party integration and so on. So stay tuned for upcoming webinars. You can also comment the topics you require for upcoming section in the chat box so that we can consider it in our future webinar list. So we can now let's get started. Um, so I will share my screen with the IDM. So in today's webinar, I will be focusing mainly uh, uh, in the IDM, and I will show how to do the settings with sharing my screen. I hope you can see my screen. So this is how the main window of the IDM if you start from the scratch. So if you open the IDM icon in the desktop, you can see a window like this. And there are mainly three different parts in IDM. So the top screen, this top section, you can call it as a main menu window. And here, the blue part will be the design plane, and the bottom part is the information console. So there are three main sections. So I will be explaining all these sections in detail uh, in the next um, steps. So first we will go to the main menu. So here in the top up corner, you will see the main menu. So if you click there, you can see different icons like new project from default template, and so on. So if you click new project, then you can create a new project from here. And in the right side, you will see the recent projects you have opened. And the new project from default template means uh, you can open the project with predefined template. So I would recommend to uh, use this default template, because you will have most of the functions predefined here. So if you open a new project on the top, you cannot get the predefined function mainly, so you need to create the functions again. Maybe you can we can discuss it in the later section. And here, and this tab is new project from a user default template. So you can also create your own user default template. So after you create a project, and then you can save it to us a user default template, so it will also appear here. And in the lower bottom here, you can open a project which is already made, and from your desktop, or which is saved in your PC. And here in this tab, you can save any project to your PC. This is also save as a new project. And create iNEL 3 export is the export file for our third-party communication, also for ASCII communication, and also for uh, connection server. So if you create iNEL 3 export file, you will get a export file which all these ASCII commands. And these functions you will get only after connecting to the central unit. So I will also show how to connect to the central unit, and how to um, use these functions. So this function load from central unit is the function uh, is a feature. You can download any project from the central unit. And a save to central unit means you can save these project file to the central unit, and then you can recover it at any time if you lost the project from your PC. Or download unit firmware will show you all the all the available firmwares in the installation. And you can also use this feature for uploading or downgrading the firmwares. And please note that all this firmware, all the unit firmwares are inbuilt inside the IDM package. So you don't need to uh, download each unit firmware from the third party or from different system. Everything is inbuilt together. You can you can choose from the download unit firmware, and then you can select different firmwares for different units. In the central unit configuration, you can set the IP and everything, third party settings, everything. So after connecting the central unit, I can go much deeper into that. And also here in the settings, you can uh, you can enter the IP address of the central unit, and also you can set how to open the main window. So if you select here it as an empty project, then it will come as open as an empty form. And if you select the default project, then the IDM will always open in the default project window. And here you can select the visual effects. So if you check this function, it will show the device wire animation. And if you select this function, it will show the group connection animation, and so on. And sometime if you don't see the wire manager, then you need to check these functions. And these are also the main settings which IDM allows you to scroll from floors, and enable to change consumer values, and save function blocks template to project file. So it depends on this, you can check uh, these settings. And if you make any changes, then you can save it by clicking the tick function green color. Okay, so that is about the main menu settings. And if you go to this plane, then it will show you the project manager. So in the project manager, you can write a name of your project and the version. So whenever you are creating, editing it, then it will automatically increment the value if you check this function. And you can also edit when it is created, and you can also create the other information and everything here. And in the device manager is the place where you add the units, the physical units present in the installation. And also it is possible to create a project without without having the physical devices or units installed in the installation. You can also create a virtual program, and then after that you can save it to the central unit or to the installation by editing the device addresses here. So I can show you it later. Also in the same place we are editing the device parameters and everything. And this window will show you the project details, name and everything after you create it in the edit it in the project manager. And here you can add different floors to your design plane. So I can uh, type it here, and also you can load image to the floor. So this window will be available with your floor image. So you can create as many as floor you need. So I have created test floor, and you can create different floors depends on your project. And also it is possible to edit floor, edit the name of the floor, and also delete floors. And in the second tab, you will see the control. So the control section allows you to connect different icons to the physical unit which is there in the design manager. So you will see central units, you can see system units, switching units, card readers. So all these are the graphical icons which you can link to the device manager, which is the physical units present in the installation. And after that you can use these graphical icons to do the functions, wiring and everything. You can understand it more clearly when I show you the sample project, which will be after this explanation with the main window. And the function tab is mainly for creating functions, adding functions to different units. So if you have one switch, wall controller, and also you have one switching actuator, then in this function plane, we are creating different functions here. You can see here add connection. So if you have two graphical icons here, then you can add a connection here. And this wire manager will show you all the wires you have connected in the installation or in the project. And the function manager, you can see all the default functions, and also you can create new functions depends on your project requirement. Macro manager is also for using macros in your project. So if you have more than one wire, then you can use macro manager, and then you can wire it to different objects. So it will make the programming much more faster. And the function block manager is also for creating different function block and link it to the units. So you can also use this for the programming to if you have more similar objects, and you can make a function block and then make a predefined wire and then link to the any of the objects. So this will also be very helpful for making the project or the program very faster. So I can explain these function block manager. Maybe I can take another webinar for mainly for these functions, how to create function, how to create function block manager. And in the managers tab, you can see group manager, where you can create different groups with the objects or the units added. And in the system manager, you can have timers, counters, you can create different heat cool areas, system programs, system bits, and so on. And person manager, communication manager are mainly for the older CU, that CU301 and 02, which helps you to create different contacts in RFID card readers. And DALI manager helps you to program DALI bellast connected to the EMDC DALI bus line, uh, or to the CU309 DALI bus. And in the monitor, you can see the status of the connected devices, whether it is functioning, and also you can control from the monitor if the device is working or not. So here in the design plane, this part of the window contain a tab which allows the user to switch between all floors. So here, if you create different floors, then you can switch it to different floor in this tab. And here in this window, which you can uh, use these different control units, and then you can drag it to this design plane, and then you can link it to the devices which is available in the device manager. So mainly the design plane is to create a graphical representation of the units which is there in your installation. And in this group, you can create a group, create different groups with the units which is present in the installation. Let's say if you have a 22 channel relay and you need to group 1 to 8 relays together, then you can assign the group functions here. And as I mentioned before, in this plane, we are creating function with different units. And in the simulation, you can see how the devices is working and so on. Okay, so the last section, the bottom level section is the information console, where you can see the IP address uh, of the central unit. And also here you can see the status of the central unit, if it is connected or not. And this tab, this icon allows user to connect it to central unit. And here you can this play button allows user to control user to start the central unit, also to stop the central unit. And here in this tab, you will get the information about the project, whether the project is uh, matching with the central unit, or if the saving is success, or if there is any error, then it will also appear here. And then by clicking that, you can see if there is any error, or you can repair the error, and you can also know in which unit or which object the error is. Okay, so we will go more deeper into how we can create a project and how we can edit different parameters in the project. So as I mentioned before, uh, to start a project, you go to the main menu settings, and from here, uh, we can create a new project from default template. So there will be a window coming. Do you want to export function blocks? So no. And again, one more window will appear to save changes with the previous project. So we don't need, so I am not saving. So the window will appear here with the default floor. If you need to edit the floor, then you can edit the floor here, the name. So as we mentioned, we are using a test floor here. So I edit it, and now I need to go to settings, and then uh, to I need to enter the central unit address here. So if you already know the IP address of the central unit, you can enter it here. Or if the central unit is coming as a new, then the default IP will be 192.168.1.1. So you can also test if the unit is available online by pinging the test here. So the green tick mark will show that it is online. And also, if you have different CUs available, then you can also add different IP address and you can save it here. Let's say if you know any central units in your installation, then by clicking here you can save the settings of the central unit. So maybe I can show you by test. So 192.168.1.50 will be our test project. If I need to use that, then I can click here, and then I can test the ping test here. Since it is not connected, it will not ping. So again, we go to the default, and I save the settings here. And after that, I need to go to device manager and add the central unit. So since it is default project, the CU37 is added. And maybe if you have different central unit, you can also choose it from here. So now I have CU37 here, and I need to enter the hexadecimal address here. So you can get it from the hardware. It is written on the hardware central unit. So you need to enter it here, 0EF8. So my device address is here. So I entered it, and then I am connecting it by going to the information control and click connect. So if the IP and the device address is correct, then it will show you a connection green icon here, and then it will show maybe fast run or maybe stop. So you can also stop by clicking it here, and you can make the fast run by clicking it in here. Okay, after that, the next step is to check the device or the central unit firmware. So for that, you go to the download unit firmware, and it will show you if the central unit is in the right firmware. So you can choose the firmware, the latest firmware in this package. So that is the latest firmware, uh, 96.31, and then you can, by clicking here, you will save it to the latest firmware. So the first step you need to do is to update the central unit to the latest firmware. And after that, so I click the first one again, and I go here. And if you have the units connected to the central unit, then by clicking auto search or search structure will automatically find all the units connected to your bus line. So I will click here. It will show me all the devices connected here. So if It is showing new. That means that new these units are not saved, and it is search while searching it appears as a new, and we can save it to the central unit, and we can link these units to our object in the design plane. And also in this device manager, we can select or we can set the units parameters here. So here I have a connected RC3 DALI unit. So here I can set the relay one different functionality. First, if you click here, it will give you the overall setting parameters. Like if you are using the shutters, then if you need to block two channels, then you can edit it here. And the switching limit, how many time, uh, after how many time it need to stop the switching limit, also it can be enter it here. And the description of the unit, you can edit it here. And for each relay parameter, that can also be set here. And if you need to use this unit for the third party communication, then you can select the add to iNEL's 3 export here. Then only this unit will be available for the third party communication. And also if you need to invert the output or use the default state, everything, all the settings parameters can be entered in set in this device manager. Same as here for the glass controllers. If you need to use beeper or vibration, or if you need to use this as a card reader, then you can select these functions here. Select different kind of card readers. And also I have GRT3 unit. If I need to use this for heating cooling circuit, then I can select it here. Beeping and the light settings. So all settings can be uh, all parameters can be edited here. So after you edit all these parameters, we will save this to central unit. So again, go to the main menu, and you can save it to the central unit. So it will ask you for the IP address. So we have so while doing this, maybe the central unit will have one IP address, and also the project, in the project we have also one project setting. So make sure that these two are same. So while we are saving, then we are going to enter the project credentials to the central unit. So we will enter this project settings. And also you cannot say you cannot change the IP address of the central unit from this window. There is another central unit configuration to change the IP address. I will show you it later after saving this. So it will successfully save it to the central unit. Okay, so after saving, it is showing it is fast run, so everything is good. So next step is to make sure that all the units connected to our installation is working fine or not. So for that, as I mentioned, you can go to managers, and then in the monitor, you can see everything is connected, and you can see all these units are okay. And physically, by touching the unit, you can see in the monitor if the switch is on or not. So I am going to press the GRT3 button, switch 1, physically in my unit. So if I click there, then it will show on there. So that means it is working fine. So again, I am going to press the button switch to, so it will show switch to on. So that means this unit is working fine. If by any chance uh, when you press the button, if it is not working, then that means the firmware is not correct. So in that case, you have to go again to the download unit firmware, and then you can see if the firmware is not up to date. So you can up to date it by selecting and clicking it again. So you can choose the latest firmware from here, and you can update it, and then save to central unit, and again go to monitor and check if all the units are working fine. So that is how we can make sure that all the units have the right firmware. So it is very easy to update the firmware, because all the firmwares are packed together, are coming together with the IDM package. So you don't need to get confused with different firmware. Everything will be available here. So you can enter it right away, and then you can go to the manager, and in the monitor you can see the status. And also please note that if it is in stop position, it will not show correctly in the device, in the monitor. So the system should be in the start fast run position, then only it will show you the proper monitoring. Okay, so now we will start a project. Okay, so I have three main units in my device manager. So as I mentioned, in the design plane, we are going to design our project. So I have GRT3 unit. So that comes in heating and cooling section. So I see GRT350. I pull it here, and I can, if by double clicking, I can connect to the unit in the device manager. So I link it to the physical unit here there. And I also have one card reader, GMR 361. So I am again pulling it from the card reader, and by double clicking I am selecting it to the physical unit. And I also have one more unit, RC310, which is not available here in the switching, in the digital units. So in that case, you have two options. You can link it to a universal unit. So you pull one universal icon from there, and you can link it to the universal unit. That is one option. And by disconnecting, it will again unlink the unit. Or there is also another option. If you didn't see any connected unit in this control tab, then you can also link it by different lights or relays or anything. So in the RC3 unit, I have 8 relays. So I can show different icons here. One light. So I can link it to each relays in the RC3. So I double click here and I link to the relay 1. I double click here, I link to the relay 2. I double click here, I link to the relay 3. So if you can also do by choosing a particular relay inside a unit, that can also be possible. And also I can link uh, different icons, like I have dimming light here, so I will link it to the DALI in the RC3 or analog output. So I link it to the DALI. So different ways are there. Okay, so the next step is to uh, go to the group, and how we can create different groups. So I have relay 1, 2, and 3. So I want to create those 3 in a group. So go to group tab, and before that we need to create a group. So in the manager, in the group manager, we can create a group. So I added a new group. So I will name it as digital group because all those three are the digital relays. And here I need to choose the function digital. And if you need to export it, then you need to select the inner export. And then I select, and again I'm going to group. So in the group, from this group tab, since we create group digital, we can pull that group digital icon here, and then by double clicking you can select the which relay group you need to select. So all the groups created in the group manager will appear here, and you can select which group you need. And after that, after you selecting which group, you can just press any relay. So that relay will come to this group. So I am pressing relay 1. So I have pulled a wire there. It is in this group. It is in this group. So these three are in this group. So I have also created a group. And the next section is to create function. So go to the function tab, and there you can create different functions. So I need to create a function from the GMR button 1 to this group relay. So these functions can be created here. So since if you touch there, you will not get any wire connection there. So if you need to add a connection, then you need to click here, and these green buttons will show you from where you can pull a wire. So these green icons shows that you can pull wire from there. Since this is not linked to any units, you will not see any wire from there. Okay, so I pull a wire from here to the group relay, and here you will see all the buttons which is available in my GMR3 unit. So I need to function. When I press up 1, I need to switch on the relays, digital relays. So I pull a wire there. So immediately another tab will appear, which is showing the wire details. So I can choose the functions from here. So action, when I press short press to button 1, then I can use these functions: digital group on, digital group off, and digital group switch. So these are the predefined functions available in my project. So if you need to add another function, like you need to create a group with delay on, function with delay on. So to create your own function, you can go to the function manager and create it. So I will select it, and then I will show you how to do that. So in a short press, uh, it will switch on. So I need only that function there, and when I press the down button, it has to switch off. So again, short press and group off. So this is how you need to function. You need to create a function, and then press close. Like I said, if you need to create new function, then you can add new function by clicking a plus button here, and you can create a different name. So I will create group delay on. So we need to specify the function type. So it is group, and function is digital switch on or delay switch on. So we can select the function here. So we need delay switch on, and in the parameter we can set here uh, how much delay you need. So I need a 5-second delay. So I created 5 second and then selected. So like this, you can create different your own functions. Uh, so since I open the new project from default template, I have all these predefined functions here. If you are creating a new project, you will not have these functions. You need to create all the functions by your own. Okay, now, so we have created one function, we have created one group, and then we need to save this to our central unit. Okay, so to save to the central unit, we can go to the main menu, and here you will see save to central unit here. So I am going to save it to the central unit. Since I have not made any changes in the in the um, IP settings, it is not appearing here. If I edit any IP settings, or if I change any IP settings in the central unit, it will show which IP you need to change, you need to save. Okay, after saving this, we will see whether the function is working or not. So we can monitor, we can check if the functions are working by seeing, going to the manager and then monitor. So now the unit is in fast run. So I go to manager, and in the monitor, I will see if when I press the button, these relays will turn on or off. 1 minute, it is not connected. Okay. Okay. So when I press the button, it all the relays are on. And when I press the button, all relays are off. So this is how you can program it in a simple way. And now you know all the basics, how to create a project from the default template, how to start the IDM program. So in the later section, we will go much deeper into the programming with different application. Now I will show you how to edit the central unit configuration. If you need to change the IP, how to change it. So in the central unit, in the main menu, you will see the central unit configuration. So go there, and here you can um, change the IP address. So you can edit it the IP, any IP in range of your network settings. So since I have made one test project in the IP50, so I am going to enter the IP range to the IP50, and then the gateway is same, and the time zone you can select it here, which time zone you need. And if you need to edit the date or anything, you can edit it here, and then by clicking the tick icon. So now it changed to 10. So actually it is not. I will put back to 9. And in the another tab, you see uh, the uh, the third party settings. So I have checked the function which I need to use in the third party settings. In the device manager, I select which device I need to use in the third party. So I selected there. After selecting that, you have to select the port here and the mode here. So you will see in the drop down there will be three modes. In the IDM mode, only the program with the IDM will work. In the remote mode, only the third party control will work. And in the remote plus IDM, both the program and the remote and the third party program together will work. So better to select this function. And in the numerical system, you can choose hexadecimal, so that all our addresses are in hexadecimal. So you can choose that. And here you can select which function you need to be controlled or to be integrated with the third party systems. So here, the digital inputs, you can select here digital outputs, the functions digital output you can select here, and analog inputs, analog outputs, sensor changes, card in, time, counters. So all these functions you can, what all functions you need to control from third party or you need to display in third party, you can check it here. And here in this tab, you can connect to the cloud account. So in the admin mode, you can connect, you can link the iNEL's cloud account username and password here. And also, as a new feature, we have introduced MQTT protocol in all our central units. So you can connect to any MQTT broker here, enter the IP address, port, username, and password, so that all the supporting devices in the central unit will be connected to the MQTT broker, and thus you can integrate our iNEL's unit with the third-party system. So after editing these settings, go and save to the central unit by clicking here. So immediately the central unit will start to reboot, and after reboot, you can close this window, and after a few minutes it will be disconnected from the IDM, and then yeah, it is showing not connected. And now we need to go back to the settings again and change the IP here. So I change the IP, I test the connection, yeah, it is pinging, and I save the settings. Okay, now it is connected. So this is how you need to connect again back once you change the IP settings of your central unit. I hope I have covered all the basics of the um, project IDM setup, initial, how to do the fast run, how to create a project, how to enter the project credentials, and in the function, how to create the functions, basics, and everything in the managers. So in the upcoming section, we will go much deeper into a different manager, how to create heat cool cycles, and how to use bits, and how to create different project for different application. So if you have any uh, comments, you can, if you have any questions, you can ask here. Okay, maybe could you show how to insert background images with the scale for designer icons? Okay, so I can, maybe in the next section I can show, and now I don't have any background images, floor images now. Maybe in the next section I can show you how to add the floor image, and then how to insert different designer icons in that floor. Any other questions? Okay, I hope this webinar is more useful for you, and you have understood many of this logics. Um, yeah, well, we are going to uh, stop this webinar. Thank you all for attending this webinar. I hope you enjoyed uh, this webinar, and also I thank you for spending an hour with us with Alco EP. Thank you. Bye.